For my capstone project, I chose to do a documentary on my involvement with the sports production program here at URI. So the idea behind this was I wanted to incorporate both of my majors as a film and sports media major into one project. And for the past year and a half, I had been working on URI's broadcast of varsity athletics that's on ESPN Plus. We've been broadcasting men's and women's basketball, baseball, softball, football, volleyball, soccer, and I love it. It's like nothing else I've ever done, and it's really something that I've grown really attached to and something that I want to keep doing after I graduate. So with this project in mind, I tried to incorporate my friends, my coworkers, and even alumni into telling the story of this program because it's a fairly new program. There's not a lot of attention around it, and I wanted to publicize this a little bit. So for me, this project was a great way to build my network and further connect my network along with strengthen my connections with my coworkers and my friends. My involvement with the URI production program started in junior year when I took Dave Walzer's class, Film 220, where we had to work on 8 different broadcasts throughout the semester. By the end of the semester, I think I had worked on close to 14. I loved it. I fell in love. It was like an adrenaline rush for 8 hours straight. And then the game rolled around, you got the best seat and you get to watch your team, you get to watch the team that everybody in the school is rooting for, and you have the opportunity to cover it for all of them. It's just a benefit from there that it gets to be publicized onto ESPN Plus. In the spring of my junior year, I chose to continue my involvement by taking the internship with Dave in the spring, where I had to work on 14 different games throughout the semester. That was great. I was working on baseball and softball. I was running graphics. I was doing technical directing and I was on camera. Like I had made so many memories and so many friends from that I will cherish for the rest of my life. And now currently I'm working for Dave as a part-time employee on the ESPN Plus broadcast, along with my new position at the Ryan Center as a camera operator slash utility. And it's been a ton of fun. Both of these give me the opportunity to showcase my talents with photography and videography by using the camera to capture the events. Both of these allow me to be involved with live sports, which is something that I've grown to love. I love it. I feel like the limelight's on and I get to just stand right outside of it. And it's just great. So for this project, I put a lot of thought into how am I going to make this approachable so that anyone can understand it, no matter who you are, where you come from, whatever. All you have to know is camera, live TV. That's it. From this, I built a little bit of a plan. So over here, I have the framework for my sports production plan, which includes interviews. I had a stand-up monologue that I shot on the court after the day. We talked about transmission and comms. I have a little segment where I go with Dave underneath the bleachers and he shows me what the whole transmission setup looks like for basketball. We talked about the history of the program and the deal that brought ESPN Plus to URI and publicized our athletics on a national level. I talked to different alumni about graphics and replay and how they started and how they got involved and what they're doing now. Both of them are doing very well. One of them is a director at NBC 10, and the other one is an audiovisual tech for the Craft Plus organization at Gillette Stadium. Amazing jobs, and they used their connections they got from this program to then get those jobs, which is what college is for. You're here to make connections and then use those connections to help benefit your own career. That's what I've been told, at least. I'm here to try to make the best impression on people that I can, even with the mess ups, even with the faults. You try to do the best you can. I then tried to talk about Film 220 and its impact, at least the impact that it had on me and other students that are still very passionate about this. I also talked about advice from the industry, for me, I feel like going into the industry in less than a year is scary. I'm just gonna say it. I'm a little bit freaked out that in a year from now, I won't be in college. I'll be working a full-time job, hopefully, in sports. And that's gonna be a tough thing to do, but it's what I want to do. And I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna put my mind to it. I'm gonna get there. So I asked all of the people that I interviewed that were either seniors, juniors, or alumni or in the industry for some advice, whether it be for people that are coming into the program or people that are going out of it. I wanted to know what each person thought was the most important thing to know before you went into the industry, and I learned a lot from them. I had about 4 pages of questions, so I just wanted to put like one of the pages and I put a little bit of the other page just to showcase how much thought I put in. I asked each person about 6 to 7 questions, and each of the interviews was about rough and tough between 6 and 10 minutes, with one interview being 21 minutes. So all in all, I interviewed 13 people and probably had close to 72 gigabytes worth of footage to go through that I edited down into a 30-minute documentary and a 3-minute trailer. So moving on to production now, I filmed this all in 3 days. I started on a Thursday. I worked that day as a camera operator on camera 3, which is the camera that's right over there underneath the basket. I brought all of my equipment with me, and I had to get an interview with somebody who wouldn't be there for the main day on Sunday when I was doing the majority of my interviews. On Thursday, I was reconnecting with some of the alumni who came to work on the games, and I told them about this and they were interested. So I then went out of my way to interview one of them on Friday, which was the 21-minute interview. It was a great interview with Chris, and I'm really appreciative to the wisdom that he shared with me. And then that Sunday, I did the other 11 interviews. 2 interviews in the beginning. I started with Sam up top after we shot the little setting up with Sam segment. I went right into his interview, and then I went over to camera 5 and I interviewed Enzo. Got both of them done, and then I waited for the announcers to show up. I interviewed Zach and I interviewed Nathan on the court and in the press room. And then I went up to Chafee. I interviewed Corey, which is down here on the left, and Chris Akernak, which is down here on the right. And then I interviewed Dave Walzer. Then I went back down to the Ryan Center to get B-roll for the game, which would help me tie together this entire production, because as a film major, I know that I don't want to look at somebody just talking for 30 minutes. I'd get bored. So for me, I knew going into this, I'd have to capture other moments to then entertain the audience throughout. So I went back down to the Ryan Center. I captured B-roll of all of my friends and coworkers doing their job in the moment. And it was amazing to really be able to see behind the scenes what everybody does, the prep and the hard work that goes into each day that we work as a sports production crew. So I also had to coach talent, which is something that I haven't done since sophomore year. In sophomore year, I took a directing class, haven't really used that skill since sophomore year. So coaching people into looking at me and the camera a little bit, whether they're addressing me or the audience, and trying to just coach them into being comfortable on camera, along with getting good audio and getting good visuals. Finally, I tried to get responses that I could tie together in post-production to make my life a little bit easier. So I would ask all of the people that were in the industry advice. I'd ask all of the students how they started. I'd ask all of the people that were alumni what they're doing now, and just try to connect different threads so that in post-production, when I'm editing everything up, I had a little bit of an easier time. First thing I did, I sectioned out my footage into 4 different sections. I started with how the program started. I wanted to study the history of the program. By doing so, I interviewed the athletics director, Thor Bjorn. I interviewed my boss and professor, Dave Walzer. I interviewed alumni along with industry professionals about how this program got started at URI. Then I interviewed people in the broadcast program and wanted to see how they got into it. So I called that the crew's beginnings. And I interviewed everybody and talked about how they made it to URI and how they got involved with the production program here. After that, I went into game assignments, which means I got to ask everybody questions about themselves, which was great because some people gave me a lot of footage and content to work with. I got to ask people about what they were doing in the game, whether it be our replay operator, Chris Wynn, doing replay and making timelines and creating a melt at the end of the game, or whether it be our graphics coordinator, Clay. I had fun with portioning out all the different segments. And then finally, I wanted to go into something a little bit more tangible. I had 2 different segments that I had pre-planned and advice that I had pre-planned. So I wanted to combine that into a final segment I called Experience and Advice, where I showed how to set up a camera, what our transmission setup looks like, along with everybody who is either a junior, senior, professor, alumni, or industry professional giving their advice to people interested in the field or going into the field soon. Now we're into post-production. I don't ever want to look at that again. 30 minutes, a lot of cuts. Had a lot of fun, but I could go a long time without doing another project like that. So for me, this was very challenging. I'm in an audio class right now where one of the things we stress is mixing audio to have it sound good regardless of where it's recorded. And for me, I made this more difficult than I should have. In production, I wanted to have a different background for every single person. By doing so, I had different room tone and different background noise for every single location, which made my life in post a living hell because I now had to mix each of these audios to try to sound similar to one another. I don't want to do that one again. 13 different audio channels going at the same time, along with music and sound effects, pass. That was like the last thing I did. Finally, I had a lot of fun with editing. As you can see below, I had some fun layering different things on top, whether it be Dave talking about how he's come full circle and doing a little graphic, or Clay talking about how the broadcast was held together with duct tape and putting duct tape up there. Some takeaways and lessons that I've learned from this process and from this capstone project is that making a documentary is a lot of work. Whether it be pre-production, production, or post-production, you really have to have a concrete idea and a concrete plan to go into it and come out with a good product. Fortunately, I did. I may have overplanned, which is never a bad thing. I think I ended up with a 12-page plan that I went on set with every day. You know, I tried to connect my film world to my sports world, and in doing so, I connected all of the sports world together even tighter by making this documentary showcasing this program that does not get a lot of attention. I learned that I shouldn't estimate the time it will take to plan, film, and edit a documentary. Like I said to start this off, making a documentary is a lot of work. There are classes dedicated to this. And multiple times I was asked, are you in Mary's documentary class? And I said, no, I am doing this as a passion project because I genuinely care about this program and I want this to be a successful program even after I'm gone at the university. This is a little trailer I cut together because nobody wants to watch a 30-minute documentary right now, not even myself. I have a lot of stuff going on, so 3 minutes is very reasonable and very doable for most people. So let's sit back and let's watch.
On TV, you're part of a huge team. You have your, 2 announcers, maybe 3 if there's a sideline reporter. Then you have a whole team. You have a director, a producer, camera people, graphics.
Music, so it's my job to execute the producer's vision for the production, especially for the pregame and what players we're going to feature and so on. So I would take his sheet of music, if you will, and then communicate that to the camera folks. So the camera folks would be my musicians in that case.
Just make sure
Everybody is on the same page in the production. No surprises once that ball tips off.
Whenever a point is scored, I would push to the hero, find Rhodey the Ram, the freak.
You know, they make a basket, you're following them back down the court. You can get buzzer beaters.
This doesn't feel like something I have to do. This feels like something that I get to do.
As it goes, they drive, kick it out to the corner. I'm just always following the ball. The shot will go up and I'll zoom out and I'll try to get it going in.
All the cameras are working, all the microphones are working, all the wires are being run to the right place and everything.
And it's much more of a team product that everyone puts together, and there's a much different feel to it. And I kind of like that aspect of TV a lot.
This looks like a lot of fun. I want to do this.
It just sounded like it was the perfect fit for him.
But it was a chance on the mic, and then I kind of just grew from there.
Being there in such a fast-paced and cooperative environment, it definitely drew me in.
It's honestly an amazing opportunity.
It's been fun, it's been a cool experience, and I'm really glad that I joined Film 220.
It's been great to be in the front row of watching this program really explode, of seeing so many students taking interest in it, all the classes and all of the experiences that are offered here, to see those continue to grow, and it's a great time to be involved with the program.
What did they do last year? All sorts of background knowledge stuff, getting a really good idea of how both teams are doing and what the game means, as well as players. For color, it's a little bit different. It's more, more abstract ideas. So if there was a media availability that day and the coaches were talking about something in an interview, writing down some important quotes, getting some game notes in, and understanding, what are going to be the key players for each team, what are going to be the keys to success for each team.
When you're watching on TV, you might just think, oh, the announcer is doing all this. On TV, that is definitely not the case. There's a whole team behind what you're hearing and what you're seeing, and I think they're often underappreciated when it comes to just a general viewing of a broadcast.
So this is the picture that I see. So now you see this is red. So it's on right now. It's just kind of the things that you don't know that goes into the broadcast, and kind of all part of the magic. I'm all set up. Ready to go.
I put a lot of time and effort into this project. Like I said earlier, this is a passion project of mine, and I really enjoyed this class, being able to choose this project and really be able to run with it in the way that I did. I got to have fun with editing. I got to have fun with my friends and get to talk to them and learn about their own experiences. And overall, I feel like this is one of the best things that I've brought to the university and one of my favorite experiences I've had at it. So thank you for this experience, and I hope that there are others that can have the same.